Okay. All right. Got confused there, Dan. Sorry about that. Dan was asking me some questions in the chat there, and I didn't turn the mic on. Okay. Got it. So markets are up here. As always, we look, where are they in relation to what's to the left? And my cursor, the lower right-hand chart, for those that aren't aware, that's overnight. As I'm looking at a ETF, you can see what's happening overnight. It's inching up a little bit. And we look in the bigger charts to see where is that in relation to where it couldn't get above or below. And what we see is it's smack in the middle of this little range here. So there's resistance up above that it hasn't been able to get through. And there is some support. I think yesterday was rejected on the way down. This is yesterday. It came down to what was to the left. As it declined and buyers stepped up in a meager way. And so there's this follow through this morning toward resistance where there's going to be sellers. And that's where we start the day with a positive gap. So gapping into this area here, first of all, the most bullish thing that we'd want it to do is not fill the gap. If it fills the gap, there should be buyers there. Right? That's part of the thought process. If it can travel, my bearings again, right in the middle of these bodies here, it's been rejected a couple of times looking at the cues. So we'll want to keep an eye on what's been moving that. Apple, Microsoft, AMD's been strong, NVIDIA. So for example, we might want to keep an eye on, right, I have it in here. Anyway, SMH, which has pulled back a little bit more than other things. And looks how this broke support. And where is it? It was gapping up to resistance. So we can keep an eye on semiconductors, which has been one of the leading sectors, to see, can it get a little deeper into this resistance area here or not? What's helping the market is a belief that this banking situation is going to be okay. We'll see. But XLF, some of the it's been crushed. It's going to get another wave of selling. Something that comes down like this gets hit again. Where is it? It's gapping within a range. So maybe it can get a little bit, higher to where the sellers are going to be. When something comes down like that, sellers are going to emerge again. Okay, that's KRE. What's that? Regional banking. Just looks terrible. Where is it? Gapping in the middle of the range. So there's so many of them that have been crushed that just imagine if you were in it. Sympathies to you if you are, because it'll be a long time as you get your money back. But at least this is one of the advantages of an ETF, rather than owning one of these stocks that may never see its, highs again ever. And something like this, at least you can have confidence that when it begins to develop more of a bottom, you could buy it. And it'll rally towards some overhead resistance, but it'll take a long time before it gets back up to its old highs over there. You can see on the weekly chart, and just based on how it fell from that consolidation, I don't know. Just technically thinking, is this banking situation over? I would say not, but the market believes that for the moment. But patterns like this, regardless of the news, typically come down to lower areas. So whether, just the market correcting more could drive it down there versus any banking news, since it's so weak. All right, so spiders, where are they? SPX. Obviously gapping up. They're up into resistance. I'll look to the left. this topping tail bar right here, the top of this topping tail bar, and these overlapping bodies. So gapping into resistance near 400. Talked about the big 4,000 strike, which has held prices there for seemed like forever. You've been in this trading range, whipping back and forth. So we look at where that is related to SPX. Excuse me. And so at the top of that topping tail bar right there into some resistance, average range over the last week or so has been about 45 points, give or take. 4,000 is here. This is where it's at. It can get above it. It can get below it. You can see the mesh that's here. And down here around 39.50, that could be some support area. So from yesterday's close, 45 points puts us up here. If it could move 45 points from the open, would be up here. And so then we look at the option table, and I've written down, maybe some things have changed. I wrote down 40, 40, 40, 40. Jake's got 40, 45. So things maybe moved a little bit. 40, 45, 70 by 80. Okay. So things have moved a little bit as the futures have moved up a little bit. So 40, 45, which is at the top of what would be the range if it started here. Now, can it go 45 points starting from here, right? So down here, that's about yesterday's close. And drag it down a little bit more. Be near yesterday's close. But starting from here, that's 60 some odd points. We'll put it up here, which obviously be more than that because that's 60 points from where it's starting from. So it's gapping up several points. So 40, 45 is above here, which makes it, it's at a pivot high there. It makes it doable, but it isn't a no-brainer. It isn't a no-brainer. What's your comfort level? First thing to do anyway, give it a few minutes in the morning and see if it lifts up and maybe get a little higher up toward here. And you get that no-brainer on the bottom side, which I had written down 39.25 may not be available. Right. So Jake's got 39.45. Thank you, Jake. And 39.45 is down here, which is at least below the 39.50, and would have to travel from here down here. It's still within the range of, let's assume that it opens here. It's still within its range to be able to move here. There's no brainer SPX spread today. So pick your point. Like yesterday, I mentioned in the green room, there was juice where prices had come down near the low of the day, wherever that was yesterday. I guess it was around here-ish. No, that's 2 days ago. Yesterday, it was around here yesterday. No, it wasn't there either. It's down here. I get mixed up looking at these 24 hours and these. It was down near the low. It was just around 1 o'clock, I think. And I said that was the time to do it. And it made that little move off of the low near the end of the day. Sometimes there is. So if a lot of people getting into doing these SPX spreads, they move fast. Sometimes in the middle of the day, you can find premiums, but if they're going down, it's one of the ways, right? If they're going down into support and start to bottom, let's say it's 11 o'clock, right? Or sometimes 1 o'clock, there may not be the premium that was there in the morning. But if there is, and you can get far enough away, that tends to really be a sweet spot or a time where prices are pulled back to where they're going to bottom out. And you then look and see where there's premium. So anyway, where's everything else? NASDAQ futures, you can see just going sideways here. Like at some point, something's got to give. just sideways, sideways, sideways. Maybe the end of the week with this news, but so far, this is what we call bullish price action. You might say, what's so bullish about it? It's not going anywhere. Well, it is at resistance after a momentum move up, and it's refusing to go down. Doesn't mean it can't, right? Doesn't mean it can't. It could hit this area and turn into a topping tail. So right now, we've just got a lot of overlapping bars. And a lot of damage has been done. Like here, retest two bottoming tail bars. It's going to come up toward this resistance area. And we'll see if it can go sideways. So this kind of a pattern, I have no interest in it personally myself, other than possibly for day trades. But from a swing trading perspective, the resistance is here. I like the two bottoming tail bars that it had that ability to do it. And it's down here near the bottom of the trading range. But the ideal scenario here is the way it's come down, it hits here and we start getting that sideways price action, similar to what we see in the Qs. And that correction through time at resistance opens up the door to, let's even call it the 50 MA. That would be a fabulous pattern, but we don't have it yet. The Dow looks terrible on the weekly chart, as you can see here. Like it's got to roll over. And now as this is retesting this big, nasty red bar, two things. Well, one thing, it's positive that it's been able to rally this far, that deep into it. Remember our concept of the halfway mark on a closing basis? Well, that's ground in here. So we'll see, can it move higher? Which I'm just dragging us over a little bit, get a little more insight into these tails here. Well, can it get up to 3,300 and the high there? I think that's reasonable to think that it could, but it isn't that far away where sellers show up. And where did, hold on a second. I lost the chat for the green room. All right. Usual clues, if any. Dollar trying to bottom. It's on some minor support there. Everything's just in trading ranges, whipping around. Just waiting for things to tighten up. Just bad or less predictable. Let's call them less predictable charts rather than bad charts. Transports, downtrend. You don't see any data here pre-market. It's in an area of support. Doesn't have to get there, but it came down hard like everything else. And pretty good grind coming up toward resistance. There's no event type of things. There's no bar. Any event kind of situation would include some kind of a range expansion bar. It could be a range expansion topping tail. It could be a gap down and reversal, something that jumps out versus just narrow ranges overlapping each other. See, these are wider ranges just overlapping each other. That's kind of day-to-day volatility doesn't produce a scenario of expectations of a substantial move. Like here, these two bars together, they strongly suggest an ability to move up in between these moving averages and this minor resistance area. VIX near lower bound. Yeah, that's been wild. Right? We talked about that earlier in the week. These wild overlapping bars. So, look, if you're having a difficult time in this market, trying to find swing trades, it isn't you, possibly. But when you see a volatility index that looks like this and all of the charts that we've looked at, it is just not a market environment that is going to be easy. And you're going to have situations where there's starts and stops. And so we've been saying for a while, trade smaller. So this is coming down toward the bottom of the range. What does that mean if you don't know? Well, this has an inverse relationship with the broader market. So as this comes down here, just like any other chart, you would anticipate buyers. And if this starts to go up, the market will go down. Yet the market's gapping up today. It's coming into some resistance. We have to see how it acts. So one of the things you could do is keep an eye on this intraday and see if it starts to trend up. And if it does, selling pressure will increase, and that might be a help. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. So, Greg, what I was saying, today's subject MT Live is relative strength. And you mentioned bullish price action, and that's exactly what we have here pre-market. Bullish gap. Typically I watch the news, just hear what they're blabbing about, but also to see if there's any kind of theme. And I didn't hear them say one thing about the markets are up on blank today, Fed trying to bail out the banks again or blah, blah, blah. The only thing I can say is that, in McGraw's camp, yeah, there could be some hedging here. There's a lot of unraveling going on. Yeah, a lot of unraveling of things. And so that coupled with more confidence that the bank stuff's going away, who knows? But if we close bullish, which as of right now, that's a bullish gap and bullish pre-market, I think we can grind through this and go up to this next level. 404 would be a void. And then we apply our other concepts of, okay, now the weekly is deep into this bar. So that may set up a higher low. So do I think people always ask, Debbie in particular, we love her. Hey, are we at an all-time low? And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know. We still have high inflation. We still have a so-called recession coming. We still have, in my opinion, banking crises don't go away in 2 weeks. But we trade the price action. All right, so let's see what I got on the list here. Alex, this AER of yours from yesterday, that is a textbook W bottom with new low plus. Big old void. The target, I would eyeball just the 20 MA as a reference point of this ugly reversal. UNH, we were watching yesterday for call spread. Cliff was on the list yesterday. Cliff is a double bottom, but we're waiting for a more potent turn. And today's gap, 30-minute high, might be that. This is earnings trades, MU gapping up. Got zero interest in that. It just needs to stabilize more. Lulu has an amazing bullish gap. I actually have a call spread on this that I did not give subscribers, thankfully. That's against me. That is a monster gap. So I actually will be looking at that for a new trade 30-minute low is my vanilla approach in shorting out of the money calls. But as with any gap trade, we got to see how it behaves at the open. Jeff, once they start, there's some things that are clear double bottoms and some things that I say are the possible start of one, like XLF. So now we're gapping up 31.74. We're still bobbling around in this trading range from here to here. But now if we close strong, then I think tomorrow over today's high, we'll move into this void, and it's going to bring the broader markets with it. Look at Jets here, another one. It's a sloppy double bottom, new low plus. The problem is I don't like these resistance areas. They need to chop around more. So this is like XLF. And Greg says it's the same but different. It's the same problem. It's extended, new low plus. I got a problem here. I want it to bobble around, and then maybe it'll go into the void. All right, so Jeff, no interest now. But here's another one. Well, this one's not a double bottom, but it's a potential start of a bottoming pattern. But this one, actually, I think you could trade long or short. If it cracks this, I think it's going to come retest these other ones, but I don't see any prints anyway. We'll come back to you. Calm. I sent a telegram saying this is a bullish gap. So right where my cursor is, that is a beautiful gap shock breakout. And we did a similar one yesterday on Futu. That just, look at that, bullish pre-market, bullish gap from a consolidation, all three converging EMAs. And then since earnings were pre-market, I don't know what the heck happened, and unfortunately stopped us out fairly quick. So I think I'm going to not give earnings trades, even with bullish pre-market, until I can watch them for a minimum of 5 minutes. That's kind of my own new rule, or maybe I'll call it the Futu rule. Futu rule, if you were in it. But calm looks fantastic if it can hold. Purchase, I don't see any prints, but that is a monster bullish rectangle consolidation with this flagpole breakout. It's just a matter of working an entry. Shut this down. This is an inverse head and shoulders, SKX, Thomas. Looks great. It's gapping up, so you need a pullback, but it has a void. I think target 47, 48. So yes, I like that on a pullback. And, with Lulu up. All right, so retail here. It's another potential double bottom, same but different. It's here on major support. Now, I don't like these as much because notice that it came down in a very bearish, controlled manner, parallel with the 20 MA, as opposed to climactic, far from the 20. So that's why I say it's the potential start. Play higher low. But it's gapping down. Yeah, another earnings stock. So we'll come back to you. I don't know what to do. This one's gapping at $2. Looks horrible. I'm deleting you. This one, I specifically said yesterday that if this gaps, over 16 bucks, let's just call it, then that's a beautiful bottoming pattern. But notice the gap's too big, gapping up to 19 bucks now. So, but this is a beautiful bottoming pattern. It tried to bottom here, it failed. 90% retracement, higher low, red bar ignored. 1, 2, 3, 4. That would have been a beautiful pattern if it gapped to to 16 bucks. Mattel. Yeah, it's not a swing trade to me, but day trade, it looks fine. Now, with any big gaps, I'm, more reluctant to enter positions in that direction. Just because the odds of a possible retracement. All right, I got a bunch of alarms going off here. Let's see what's up. ABBV, we're long stock. So let's move stock, stop. Yesterday's low now, 157.44. Yeah, oil was strong. I'm mad we didn't get filled on that put spread on Monday. But yeah, XOP was in the letter. Yep, Siri, I like, yep. Greg, I can't get into the spreadsheet. I don't know if it's timed out. Yeah, I'm signed out, so
Sign in.
why no? But I told you in text, I need the code they send you. So if you can give that to me so I can update the sheets. ACMR, Siri. 157.44. Yeah, Siri looks great. Bottoming pattern. I sent it as a watch item pre-market to Telegram. HPE. Yeah, that was a nice 1, 2, 3. You got the gap to deal with. So it's up to you, John, how to get on board and where your stop is and whether you're swinging it or day trading it. Broker here, up alarm, but not doing anything now. All right, let's calm. All right, see that? I don't like the tail. I'm going to give it more time. CTOS bottom right was another gap breakout. We were gonna sell puts on this into the close, but they did not have weeklies. Saul, you're gone. That's an ugly gap. Looks like a short on a bounce. Here's another shock bar. 30-minute. I don't short dollar stocks, but that looks lower. All right, CTOS, no pattern. PayX, it's at the top of the range if it closes right here. Then tomorrow or today's high would be a put spread idea. Too extended for me, but I can tell bullish weekly, monthly. Wow, look at that monthly. It used to be $70. Wow, we should have had this on our core watch list. AD line 1700 ticks above 1,000. VIX flat to lower, so things are still bullish as can be right here. Oh man, H alarm. Let's move stuff. 147.67. Man, oops. That's just too break even. What do you GXO, let me look. Beaker or broker, Alex? Is that right? Because I know you're the one that gave me broker. All right. Yeah, my only hesitancy is the market timing on entering new longs here. But that is me. Just gonna wait. But I still like broker, obviously. It's my alarm went off. Q's holding the best here. Wow. Tesla's on fire, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Google and Meta are the only ones stalled here in the FANG department.